Welcome, everyone. My name is Eddie Gill. I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Thank all of our panelists here for joining us here today. I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity. I think it's a fantastic opportunity, not only for us, but obviously our listeners will get an opportunity to see some resources that may not be readily available to them, some access to different things that they may not have access to, and that's what this is about. Really appreciate the opportunity. Again, my name is Eddie Gill with Wise Financial at Northwestern Mutual. Just for some brief introductions, let's start with some of our panelists. Again, I want to thank you. I'll start with Jake, if you'd like to introduce yourself and give a little brief background on where you are.
Good morning. Sorry, some background noise there. My name's Jake Sappenfield. I work as a business banking team lead for the state of Indiana for First Financial Bank. I've been working with small business owners now for 18 years, and excited to be part of this group. And very interested and excited to be part of an educational platform like this. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jake. Alex, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. I will. My name is Alex Mereish. I work with PNC Bank. I'm a business banking market manager for the state of Indiana. Excited to be here today. Diversity and inclusion is part of our core values. And for me to be here to talk about small business and the importance of small business and the education of our small business owners is very exciting to me. So glad to be with you today.
Thank you, Alex, and I appreciate that. And Jamar?
Thank you. Hey, it's great to see everyone. My name is Jamar Cobb-Dennard. I'm a business broker with Indiana Business Advisors, and we've worked with 2,100 small business owners over the last 40 years to help them sell and also purchase businesses. So the transaction market, there's a lot of great stuff happening this year, and it's been an interesting year for that. So happy to share some growth strategies and also how to finance and get through some of the money pieces of those growth strategies in 2020. So thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And I think, Alex, you touched on something in your introduction, and I think that's of ultra importance, and that's just the education piece that so many of us may or may not have access to, and sometimes there's pieces of information out there that we are just completely unaware of. Just starting at the very fundamental, how do we define a small business?
Small business could be defined in many different ways. For me, the way I would define small business, any clients that have an idea, an entrepreneur that wants to start a business, that's a small business. The start of revenue may be a very minimal, and the business continue to grow. So anything between 0 and 5 million, something that I specialize with my team to support the business grow. And also there's a small business defined above 5 million. So it depends on how you look at it. But for me, I like to specialize between 0 to 5 million to make sure that our expertise is best suited to those clients based on where they are. And as the big bank that I work with, Main Street Bank, anything that goes above, we also have expertise on the team that are able to support anything above a 5 million and up to hundreds of millions of dollars. But today I'm focusing on small business between 0 to 5. In my space, I'm expertise on, and that's how I look at it for now.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Alex. It looks like Sonia has joined us. I'm sure there were some technical difficulties there. We just had introductions, so you haven't missed much, Sonia. Thank you for joining us. Would you like to kind of share a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sorry, I apologize. I think I was stuck in this loop. Hi, everybody. Really nice to meet you all. My name is Sonia Moin. I'm the Senior Director at the Initiative for a Competitive Inner City. We're a national research and advisory nonprofit, and our mission is to increase the economic prosperity in under-resourced areas. And we do that through providing support and business advisory services to small business owners across the country. Because we do know that there are really great and thriving small businesses in underserved areas, but many times, many of these resources are actually not accessible to them or provided to them. And so that's where ICIC plays a role.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. We're just touching on the education piece, and Alex shared a little bit. Maybe you can share a little bit about things that people should be looking for in terms of market conditions, what that research may look like. I know, Jamar, you have some expertise in the buying and selling of businesses. Maybe we can touch on some of those things that are important that we should be looking for, whether it's red flags or things that look even more sophisticated and attractive to a certain business.
Yeah, I can go. So just for everybody, for benefit, so I work on a program called the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, and it is for small businesses across the country, and we provide peer-to-peer learning as well as a personal business advisor to help you think about how to pivot and how to grow your business. And so, Eddie, for these small businesses, what we would say, what we're seeing in the market right now, especially given the pandemic, is that so many of the businesses are pivoting, and I know I hear the word everywhere and all the time, but I'll use it as well. And I think, it's forcing the business owners to really think outside the box. But many times what's happening is that they just don't know how to think outside the box, or sometimes they just need to run some ideas with some of their peers, and that's what my advice would be to everybody, is that there are organizations and business resources, I'm sure, in your community, and so many are also available nationally, that I encourage you all as business owners to reach out to, because sometimes, and many times it's not just doable by yourselves and just with your employee, and we just need that extra support.
No, that's great, Sonia. Jake, were you going to touch on something there? It looked like I know we're in the virtual space, so it's hard to make sure everyone is jumping in there, but I didn't want to cut you off if you were.
No, I mean, I laugh when I hear the word pivot, because we make the same comment. That's the most common phrase around here. And, Alex being in banking would probably agree, bankers are pivoting. And we're having that conversation a lot with business owners. And I really think banks in general and just financial institutions should be a sounding board for their current clients, and even people that walk through the door looking to do something different. And a lot of times it's a lot of current business owners who are trying something different now. And if hopefully they have a relationship with someone they can bounce that off to. If they don't, there are some good resources out there. I know we have a pretty close relationship with SBA, and so SCORE's been a pretty nice one to go to. And SBA is extremely busy right now, as everyone knows. But no, it's just one of those things when you talk about pivot, it's not only entrepreneurs who are looking to start a new business, it's a lot of current business owners who are starting something new themselves.
That's a great point, Jake. As we talk about pivot, I hear it a lot in my world. We also tie it to innovate. Many businesses are needing to innovating as what's happening in our market condition. The way we innovate to help us to succeed. So having a sounding board in a banking and other institution to give us that advice, it's very critical at this time. So I hear the word pivot a lot, and we tie it to innovation, especially now.
So as businesses are making some shift, there are a couple things that I've seen consistent across small businesses that they've, in the way that they've created success, especially in 2020. First is taking the long view. If you've got the opportunity as a small business owner, this is the time to retool and be the best that you can be. Finding some new markets that are countercyclical to international pandemics. I know sometimes it's a little tough to think about it, but there's still business and there's still spending going on. One thing is we also think about how to manage the change this year, and the fact that there is uncertainty is considering what may be coming next. Is there a financial bubble that was created by all of the PPP money and idle money that went out, the unemployment that's been boosting some of the consumer spending? And then also what happens if and when pandemic wave 2 comes along between now and the time that things have normalized. So we've got to take the long view of small business owners and make sure that, yes, we've got to triage some things now, but we're out of emergency stage. We're still in crisis, but we've got a plan for the future from a financial and operations standpoint.
No, I think that's great. I wonder if you guys can touch on something for me. This is something that I think is extremely important in terms of the small business aspect. what do you see as some of the administrative necessities to run your business effectively and efficiently?
I think many times, well, right now, what small business owners need is trying to figure out, how to bring back employees if, they had to put a pause on them. If they've received PPP funding or idle funding, what does that mean for them for in the coming months? If they are reopening their business, what are those policies? So there are so many unknowns and, lack of answers, I think, currently, that a lot of the business owners are having to find the answers themselves or figure it out for themselves. And as everybody mentioned, from Jamar to Alex to Jake, is that, you're not alone. And I think that's the best thing we can continue to say, is that you have all these people in this panel right now wanting to help all of the small business owners. So just take a little breather to reach out to people like us, versus trying to figure it out on your own, because that can be a lot for anyone in a good day.
That's a great point, Sonia. And one thing that I'm excited to be here today is to encourage our participant that a lot of things has changed over the last few months. And one thing that I encourage my team to do is to be proactive, reaching out to our clients. And for our participant, my message is for you to be proactive and reach out to your banker, because so much has changed. And the more they understand the changes that took place in your business, what keeps you up at night today, what is you planning to innovate or pivot, we might have the right solutions. We might not have the right solution, but we're able to listen so that we are able to guide based on our expertise, or refer you to other resources that could help us as we navigate through the last part of this year. But going back to your question is for me is get to know your banker. A lot of us have dentists, CPAs, professional planners. For our business customers, you need to have a banker. So that way, when you have a question or a thought or idea, you're able to pick up the phone, call them, and able to leverage us as a sounding board.
No, that's a great point, Alex and Sonia. I mean, all those are great, and really those conversations that my team's taken place. It's interesting. A lot of small business owners have judged themselves on the revenue side. It's like, hey, I crossed that $1 million threshold, and then I crossed the $5 million threshold, and we just defined small business earlier by revenue. And one of the things that we're encouraging owners to do when you're facing this kind of uncertainty and we don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 to 12 months is to go audit your expense side now. That doesn't automatically mean labor, but it does mean you look down through your expenses to make sure that there aren't things there that you can't, maybe not get rid of, but to reduce. With small business owners, and this is kind of a personal thing for me, is there is no separation between personal and business. In reality, one influences the other. So that also goes true for the personal side. So one of the encouraging things we're encouraging is take a hard look at all your expenses just to make sure that you can control the next downturn or whatever could come around the corner. Just not focus on the income side, but focus on the expense as well.
The one thing I'll add here is that as small business owners, we've got to make uncertainty certain. What I mean by that is putting a stake in the ground and saying, this is the direction that we're going to go in, and then creating some contingencies. So I've got one client that's an association, professional association, and they decided to make 100% all of their programming virtual for the rest of the year. I've got some other clients that are waffling back and forth. We still don't know whether things are going to be in person or not in person. And they're making decisions week by week, month by month. So take a look at marketing and your finances and operations, product delivery, where your people are working from, and make a plan for the next 6 to 12 months, but also make some contingencies within that plan if there is another wave of quarantines or shutdowns or et cetera, so that your team can charge forward and really continue to operate your business successfully.
Yeah, those are great points. Let's take a little bit deeper dive into the potential business owner or someone looking to access funds. if I'm a prospective business owner, and as I prepare to walk into any bank and to secure any type of loan, what are some non-negotiables that I need to have definitely taken care of, have all those boxes checked prior to getting there? Because we know if some of these administrative things aren't taken care of, it's going to hold things up for sure. So how can I expedite that process?
I'll take a shot at that, and I know Jake will jump in as well. One of the things that having a banker for a business client helps a lot, especially with the preparation perspective. But some of the things that we look at is one, understanding the need. And as we understand the need of our customers, we are able to know what are the best solutions for them. Part of what determined that is understanding our customers' personal credit history, understanding their business in sense of what is the business case, if it's a very new business, understanding the financial trends of the business, the debt to service coverage, debt to income ratios, industry type. All these are things that, as we understand as bankers, the better we are able to help our clients. So from a clients to be prepared, is their tax returns, business, consumer, a business case, if especially a new business, a resume, if it's a brand new startup. So those are some of the things that we look for as a beginning for us to understand the business, because every client has a unique story and has a unique business. And as bankers, the more we understand that from our client, the better we are able to serve. Jake, I know you deal with this as well a lot, so I want to make sure you have some time to speak about that as well.
No, that's great. And I agree with Alex on everything he just said. One of the things that I try to break down is most business owners know in their head what they're going to do. I mean, they have that plan in their head. What I tell them is you got to get that on paper. You have to be able to explain to us how this business is going to pay the debt you're asking for. And then a good banker will walk them through that process. So that's really, even if something can't be solved that day, that business owner walks away from that meeting gaining, okay, this is what the bank is looking for exactly. But the big thing is, and Alex touched on it, being able to explain, how their business operates. And really, we want to know how you, business owner, make money. Because if you're making money, then you're paying your debts.
So Eddie, sorry, I do have a follow-up question for the two bankers, because I know that especially in minority business, we've got this divide. One is starting up a new business and minority business owners or entrepreneurs saying, we need money to start this new business, but the bank won't give me money because I have no capital equipment or assets to secure the loan to, or any provable cash flow because it's a new business. So what are your thoughts around, one, how entry-level or brand new business owners can get loans and financing? And then second, if they can't, how can they then leverage existing businesses as a purchase so they have some cash flow to loan against?
That's a very good question, and we see a lot of that. And I think part of our being on a panel, we all supplement and complement each other in different ways. And that's why we are here, as a way to able to help people, right, our business customers, to see different options. So let me speak a little bit about, yes, there is a very business just started, and maybe a traditional loan product might not be the best suited for them in a bank. But through our government, through the SBA, we have amazing programs that are able to help a small business owner that just started, or 2 years or so, 3 years or so in the business, that able to understanding how they're going to go about their business, and we are able to look at SBA financing. And if that's not a place that we are able to help based on the business, we love to partner with other community development financial institutions that's out there. They're able to complement what we do. One thing that I'm very proud of, as I look at been working at PNC Bank, some of the things that we have done, committing $5 million of a low loan rate for bankable. We're able to fund PPP loans through the Indy Chamber Business Initiative. We are able to offer different loans programs through businesses that it was impacted or just start up. So this is some of the things that we do, but I know Jake have something probably to add. But there's a lot of venues One of them is SBA, one of them is traditional banking. And Jake, anything on your
Yeah.
mind when it comes down to that?
Well, and I agree. We're a pretty big SBA bank, so that's a great resource. And even with that, they'll require some money down at times. But to really dive into that question, because I mean, first of all, from a traditional bank perspective, that's one of the riskiest loans, traditionally that you can make is a startup business. Startup business that doesn't have any money. It doesn't mean they can't get it. So my first thing is that business owner shouldn't give up on asking banks just because someone may not be interested. But the second thing is size. Start small is always a good option with any bank. Is take out maybe a slightly smaller loan than you were planning on it. And banks, and I don't like this all the time, but banks in general like to keep people on a conservative pace. So. And the other thing, and this kind of dives a little bit deeper into this and goes into SBA type of financing is, if you have another source of income and you're looking to start a business and still work your main job, if that's a scenario like that, that is good for a bank to see. Because if there was a hiccup in that startup, and in any case, then he or she's working at other job that can pay for that debt. The second thing is, and we see is if there is a spouse or somebody on there that's on the business that is working. So banks love seeing a secondary source of repayment, especially in a startup situation. Or if you're starting small, maybe you can work your normal job and start into this other role in a different way. So again, I think Alex said in the beginning, if know your client, understands, and a good banker just simply won't just say we're not interested. They'll actually talk through these options.
I do have a couple of comments to make to everything that Alex and Jake shared. Through the 10,000 Small Business Program, we have businesses with revenue of $100,000 who apply to the program, to $1 million, to $5 million, to $10 million. And I will tell you, 70% of the people who apply, even with $1 million business, $5 million business, actually do not understand their financials. They do not understand their balance statement, their profit and loss statement. So knowing the numbers and having business owners, when they come into through your door, to make sure that they know these numbers is, I think that's hard for a business owner if that's, finance isn't their background. And so, so for all the participants listening in, if you are a business owner, please, reach out to, please look at our website, 10ksbapply.com, but also there's local support services organizations like small business development centers in your community that you might be able to really learn about your numbers before you go to the bank. Two, many, especially minority business owners, they have a hard time going to banks and say, I'm going to build a relationship with my local bank, just because of, just the way the system has been created, right? So, so I think, we as players in this entrepreneurship ecosystem have to do a bit more and look at our systems and the way that we have created accessing funding, and what do we need to do to make sure that minority business owners are able to get these funds, without having collateral or, having assets, right? So that's my request to this community. And third, also for everybody else as participants, I also want you to look to see if there's a community development financial institution in your community. So they're CDFIs. Their goal and their mission is to really work with business owners who may not have these assets or may not have 401k to tap into to start your business, or even if you're a successful business owner, and you need to purchase the equipment, but your personal credit history is just not there yet. So there are many different types of banks out there, as I think Alex mentioned, that you should all look into. And that website, I think I saw a question come through. That website is 10ksbapply.com. And I'll put it in the chat as well.
And Sonia, just to build on it, there is a very good nonprofit CDFI, community development financial institution called Bankable in Indy that helped.
I think I just want to make sure it's not on my end.
Yeah, it sounds like we lost Alex for just a
Alex,
moment. So
yeah.
I'll give my comment, and when Alex
Yeah.
comes back, he can finish. So one additional thing to think about when looking for funding is shifting strategy just a little bit. So I have a friend who called a couple weeks ago and said, "Hey, I want to start a bakery. I want your advice on how to get things started." Well, knowing what our two bankers just said, which is if you don't have any capital assets and very little track record of cash flow, it's tough for the bank to give a loan. So I said, instead of trying to start something new, which you won't be able to provide for your family and it'll be tough to grow, bootstrapping it, et cetera, why don't we leverage a little bit of cash and buy an existing bakery, right? So there's a bakery that we had that was a few $100,000 in annual sales, and the purchase price was $100,000 or $200,000. Well, with an SBA loan, put down 10%, and for 20 grand, you've got a business that's cash flowing $75,000, $100,000 a year that allows you to put your own bakery product in there. You've got customers lined up. You've got capital equipment and cash flow that can be loaned against. And instead of struggling those first few years to bootstrap a business, you've instantly got a business that will pay you back. You can handle the debt service, and you can actually get funding for it because there's something there for the bank to loan against.
And Jamar, I was hoping we're getting close on time here. Just wanted to touch on one thing from a legislative standpoint. We obviously know the wealth gap has grown tremendously in amongst the COVID pandemic, and specifically minority-owned businesses have suffered due to that. Are there different things that minority-owned business owners can be trying to achieve from a legislative standpoint in terms of finding some of that real social capital to help build and produce results in some of their initiatives?
Sure. So there's really two ways to think about this. One is local or municipal policy and driving some conversations around that. And second is legislatively at the state level. And either side, we've got to come together collectively, because one individual voice probably won't be able to get the change done, but through associations, chambers, et cetera, coming up with a strategy and saying, hey, look, mayor or governor, here are the 3 to 5 things that we need done from a policy and funding perspective over the course of the next year, 3 years, and 5 years for the minority business ecosystem to grow. Right now, especially, the governors and mayors are riding and driving by the seat of their pants. So they're responding weekly and or monthly to COVID-19 economic shifts instead of, again, making the uncertain certain, right? So as business owners, and especially as minority business owners, we've got to present to them the strategy to say, here's how you create certainty for the small business ecosystem, and especially the minority small business ecosystem, so that we can survive and thrive, not just through this emergency and crisis, but then moving forward into the normalization of the economy.
Oh, that's great, Jamar. I appreciate that. I think that's truly important here. Obviously, there's a lot of things surrounding what's going on here in our community, locally, statewide, and nationwide. Obviously, there's a lot of issues there, but I'm a firm believer we can do far more together than we can apart. And if everybody kind of chips away, that gap will definitely get a little bit closer in proximity. We are up on time, but I do want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to add their contact information and have those resources available to all of our listeners. Thank you, listeners, for being a part of this. So I'll just start with Jake. If you want to give your email, and we may be able to even add it on the chat. That may be the most efficient way to do it, is to just send it through the chat if everybody wants to take a moment to do that. And if there's any other closing comments as well.
My closing, I'm sorry.
I didn't know you were back, Alex.
I'm back. I apologize for losing my connection. If there's one thing that I want my message to be is, for small business owners, we love to serve you. And the best way to serve you, please be proactive, reach out to your bankers. If you say, I don't have a banker, go find one. There's a lot of good ones. And I know that I work with some. And Jake is another one. Reach out to your banker. Tell them how this environment impacted you. What are your goals? What are your strategic goals, short-term or long-term? And have a strategic partner as if someone can't help you today, they might help you down the road. So that would be my message: is have a banker and get advice, and they will be there for you. Because I know my team would love to be there for you, regardless what your size is.
I'll make one final comment here, and this is no snub to our institutional bankers on the line, but don't give up on finding funding. If you go to all the banks and you've got great relationships with people like Jake and Alex, and you still can't get it done, there is factoring funding, purchase order funding, growth investors, being able to take money penalty-free out of your 401k and IRA for investment in existing businesses. There's also private equity firms that are investing in certain segments. So there are alternatives to cash out there. And if you've exhausted the resources at the banks, come find some folks that know the channels that are secondary to the primary lenders.
I think that's great. Did everyone get a chance to add there on the chat there?
Yeah, I just sent
Okay.
through my email address. But again, I just want to reiterate what I said in the beginning is that, and what everybody is saying on this panel is that don't feel
I
that
see
you're
Alvin
alone.
IT support, so probably.
And so find organizations as well, not just banks.
Gosh, sorry. Look at me struggling. All right, fire. Yeah. Sorry about that. All right, I'll leave this one.
So find organizations, just, Google small business support services in your network, or, please feel free to email me. I'm sure there are many organizations in the local area that I can refer some of our attendees to. So just again, we're not alone in this. We are all trying to work together. This has been such a wonderful showcase of just everybody pulling their resources together to help support the small business community. And it's just lovely to see.
Thank you. Well, it looks like we're up on time. So in respect of the remainder of the conference, we're going to let everybody, give them their time back and move on to the next one. Thank you all for joining, and looking forward to reaching out to different folks and contacting people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.